And now, Lindell TV brings you The Stone Zone with legendary Republican strategist and political icon and pundit Roger Stone. Stone has served as a senior campaign aide to 3 Republican presidents. He is a New York Times best-selling author and a longtime friend and advisor of President Donald Trump. As an outspoken libertarian, Stone has appeared on thousands of broadcasts, spoken at countless venues, and lectured before the prestigious Oxford Political Union and the Cambridge Union Society. Due to his 4+ decades in the political and cultural arena, Stone has become a pop culture icon. And now, here's your host, Roger Stone.
Welcome, I'm Roger Stone, and you are back in the Stone Zone. It's 100+ degrees here in South Florida today. You could fry an egg on the sidewalk if we had sidewalks, or if under Joe Biden's economy, you could afford eggs. It is really disturbing yesterday when I watched the hearing of the House Judiciary Committee under the chairmanship of Jim Jordan. Seemed to me like the only member of the House Republican caucus who asked aggressive questions of FBI Director Wray was Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. It leads us back to understand and question what's wrong with the modern Republican Party. Why does nobody in this party have any testicular fortitude? It is absolutely clear that Congressman Joseph Smith and Congressman James Comer have essentially documented epic crime by Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and his brother Jim Biden. For anybody who hasn't done it, go to MarcoPoloUSA.org. MarcoPoloUSA.org. Marco Polo is a non-profit organization that is committed to publishing and documenting all of Hunter Biden's laptop and the epic evidence of corruption. They have identified 249 individual federal crimes that there is evidence of. They're being harassed by Hunter Biden's $1,800 an hour lawyers, including noted left-wing Democrat lawyer Abby Lowell, a man who should understand that he's going to end up being sanctioned and perhaps even disbarred at the rate he's going. The idea that the Secret Service is unable to determine whose bag of cocaine was left behind in the Biden White House is patently ridiculous. This is the most surveilled, regulated, and carefully guarded facility in the United States. Where are the security cameras? We know from President Trump's tenure in the White House that they exist. Were they just conveniently turned off like they were during the death of Jeffrey Epstein, who did not kill himself? Do they really expect the American people to believe that they can't determine whose cocaine this is? Or is there anyone we know in the first family who may have had some documented record of past cocaine abuse? Hunter Biden. It is amazing to me the two-tiered justice system that we have. I am publishing today a piece in Substack in which I make the case that diminutive little Congressman Ted Lieu, also known as Ted the Red from California, who attacked me as some kind of criminal, if he had bothered to read Robert Mueller's long redacted final report, he would know that Mueller and his thugs gave me a legal proctological examination, but they never found any evidence whatsoever of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other crime. That's why I was framed for the non-existent crime of lying under oath to Congress when no misstatement I made was either material or relevant to any particular crime. The idea, folks, is to pressure you into cooperating and getting you to lie, in this case, to testify falsely against President Donald Trump, something I refused to do. Now we see this war, this lawfare being waged against President of the United States, the former President Donald Trump, and there's no indication that we've seen the end of it. The case in Florida pertaining to the president's handling of sensitive documents, we keep being told, is just the beginning of a series of prosecutions coming down the pike. Here to talk to us about this today and break it down is one of the most brilliant lawyers I have ever known, Ronda Kennedy, who practices in both California and in Nevada, a Republican, but a very fine attorney, joins us today in the Stone Zone. Rhonda, welcome to the Stone Zone.
Thanks, Roger. It's always a pleasure.
Are you in Las Vegas today?
I am. I just flew back from California yesterday. I was in trial.
Wow. What's the temperature like in Las Vegas?
It's hot. Just a little bit hotter than where you are, except we don't have the humidity.
Yeah, I was there a week ago. I had the opportunity to have dinner with Rhonda and her husband. That's why the idea of coming on this show, because Ronda Kennedy always has legal insights that I, as a non-lawyer, don't have. I'll say this, if I ever, this isn't going to happen, but if I'm ever charged with a crime again, Ronda Kennedy is going to represent me. I'll tell you that. She's a pit bull. She's a fighter. She practices business and transaction law, but she has won a number of notable victories on behalf of the Second Amendment and Second Amendment rights. She's resourceful. She's creative. She's indefatigable. And I know many people in Las Vegas and in Nevada are urging you to seek a seat in the U.S. Senate. I know you've kind of put together a committee. You haven't formally announced yet, but I hope you're going to do that because we need people like you in public office.
Thank you, Roger.
All right, Rhonda, let's start from the beginning here. Tell us your view of the case against the president as filed so far by prosecutor Jack Smith.
It's a very weak case. It's a bunch of smoke and mirrors. And it's frankly just a violation of Donald Trump's due process. The recent filings of even the protective order, which limits Donald Trump from even reviewing documents outside of the presence of his attorney. Now, as a litigator, I have stacks and stacks and stacks of documents that I need to review, and I need my clients to review them as well. I don't think they need a babysitter to review them because those are billable hours, and it's costly, it's time consuming, and it ties the defense counsel's hands behind their backs.
I also am very familiar with this tactic that they use. When I was charged in D.C. On the day that I was arraigned and given probation, which, by the way, the fact that they allowed me out on without any cash bail completely undercuts their claim that I was a flight risk. So they said the reason why 29 FBI agents had to storm my home at 6 o'clock in the morning was because I was a flight risk, yet hours later, they let me out on my signature without any cash bail, proving that they never thought I was a flight risk, that the whole purpose for the raid on my home was intimidation and also to put on a circus and maybe send a signal to others that you better cooperate and lie, because if not, this could happen to you. So the government gives you a list. In my case, it was around 50 people, and says the defendant can have no contact with any of these people. There was half the people on the list were names I didn't even vaguely recognize. Others, for example, there was one young gentleman. I would later learn that once the Mueller prosecutors could not find any evidence that I had served as a go-between between WikiLeaks and the Trump campaign, or Russia and the Trump campaign. They actually induced a young field man who'd worked in Trump's campaign. They were trying to get him to fly to Miami, seek to see me socially while wearing a wire. That doesn't sound like people who had a very good case, does it? So they don't even have to tell you why these people are on the list. But theoretically, now that we know from leaks that among the potential witnesses in the president's trial are his own chief of staff, Susie Wiles, very fine person, by the way, someone I've known for 30 years, they could theoretically tell him in the middle of a presidential campaign that he cannot talk to his own chief of staff. This boggles the mind, but what boggles my mind even more is the fact that Trump's current lawyers filed no objection to it.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous that they didn't oppose it. You always oppose. And looking at the protective order, they stipulated to it. They were fine with it. There was no opposition. And I would have asked that the people also, the government also list who's going to be working on the case. They have to limit to the only people who are going to be working on the case are these certain U.S. attorneys, and not that it just goes broadly through the office, that it applies for the defense as well as the government, that they can't leak, they can't discuss it, they can't share information, and they'd be bound by the same rules. So I don't know why Trump's attorneys aren't fighting harder. And also, I haven't seen any motions for disqualifications for anyone that is going to be working on the case, because I'm sure there's some conflicts of interest there somewhere.
Well, perhaps that's precisely the point. When we looked at the Mueller prosecutors, the two lead prosecutors in my case both worked for Hillary Clinton. One of them had represented her and the Clinton Foundation in the illegal email server case. The other one had been a counselor to her at the State Department. I've written a book called The Clintons' War on Women. They had a bias against me. They had a political bias. The judge ruled that being an active Democrat, opposing Donald Trump, none of these things disqualified, never mind the prosecutors, your prosecution must be non-political, but also in the case of jurors. She held that political opponents of Donald Trump were perfectly fine to be a juror in my case. In fact, the jury forewoman claimed in jury selection and during my trial that she really didn't know who I was, that she had no familiarity with my case, and we learned only after I was convicted in a kangaroo court that she had put on Twitter and Facebook multiple attacks on me by name regarding the very case in which she would later be selected as a juror. She placed these in 2018 and 2019, had them on a private setting, and then tried to quietly delete them after I was convicted. Thanks to the journalist Mike Cernovich, he discovered this, and we made a motion for a new trial on the basis of the jury forewoman's bias. And incredibly, the judge ruled that these attacks on me and postings in which she said Donald Trump and all of his supporters, that would be me, are racists, did not constitute bias. Can any Trump supporter, Republican, independent, free thinker, non-Democrat get a fair trial in the District of Columbia?
I don't think so. I mean, Roger, that's just absolutely ridiculous. And I wonder what question she was asked during jury selection, because that seems like that she probably perjured herself. I'm sure she answered that she was not biased and that she, had no comments about you. And yet later on, it comes out that she's posting things on social media. And this is just, the two-tier justice system is not new to America. I mean, as an African American, we've gone through that, during the 60s when the Democrat Southerners had their two-party system, and people who were, like Medgar Evers killers and Emmett Till's killers had jurors that were on there that knew them and were friends with them. So this is a reminder of what was going on, what the Democrats were doing in the 60s. This is not a new playbook for them.
Yeah, it's really quite extraordinary. The jury in my case included people who had worked in the Obama and Clinton Justice Department. It included in one case a law school classmate of one of the prosecutors in my case. Again, the judge held that none of these were meaningful conflicts. They do give you a certain number of challenges, but once you ran out of them, it's actually mathematically, statistically impossible to have a jury in the District of Columbia without a single non-Democrat, without a single military veteran, but multiple veterans of both the Justice Department and the intelligence agencies. It's a nightmare, and the system is epically broken. Let me ask you this. Do you expect that there will be additional charges filed against President Trump? And if so, where and for what?
Well, I think there's one coming in Georgia for the alleged tampering with the Secretary of State there. But I think they're going to find and do anything possible to prevent Donald Trump from concentrating on his elections. And I like to also remind that he also has a constitutional right not only to defend himself, but also to run for a public office. He qualifies to run for president. And them doing this is interfering with the elections. I think they're election tampering right now by holding Donald Trump up in court, getting all of these bogus charges, tying his hands behind his back, making the defense even longer by this protective order that was issued in Florida. And so it's going to take twice as long. It's going to take twice as many resources. And since he's going to have to review the documents in front of his attorney, he's not going to be on the campaign trail giving speeches to the American people. We want to hear from Donald Trump. We don't want to hear from special prosecutors.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that one of the things in the filings this week by Trump's lawyers, which is a response to a government filing, it appears to me, I have no special knowledge, that the president's lawyers are preparing to challenge the legal authority and the appointment of Jack Smith. Now, this question was raised against Robert Mueller. Mueller was never confirmed by the Congress, never appointed and subject to confirmation. There's an argument that that is necessary. That argument was not successful in D.C., no surprise there. But correct me if I'm wrong, a Florida judge could rehear that argument and rule differently, correct?
Yes, absolutely. That argument can be raised in Florida, and it should be raised in Florida, and it's also appealable. So if Florida doesn't rule correctly, then that ruling can also be appealed, and it can go to the Supreme Court. So I think that's one good move that Trump's legal team is making right now, is to file that motion.
Are you surprised, Rhonda, that there has not been a motion just from the top for dismissal on a number of grounds?
Yeah, that's the first thing you do. I mean, the government is a government. They have unlimited resources. They're gonna try and paper to death the defense, and the defense should do the same. Every single motion that can be filed should be filed, because there's an important thing that you do when you're starting a case, and that is preserving the record. That is looking for to an appeal. So if you don't properly preserve the record, you may not have grounds for an appeal. So they should file every motion possible, including a motion to dismiss, because reading the indictment, I read the indictment, that was a joke. They need to preserve those appellate rights. So just in case this doesn't turn out the way it should, there's appealable issues.
If you were the president's lawyer today, and you're not, but if you were, in addition to the motion to dismiss, what else would you be filing with the court?
I'd be filing disqualification orders for whoever's going to be on the prosecution's team. I would want to have a list of the attorneys that are going to be working on the prosecution's team. I would want that protective order, since it applies to the defendants. I would also ask the court to have it also apply to the prosecutors. I would also file. Are we still on?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. I'm not sure.
I
There we
can't
go.
see. Okay, there you are. Yeah, I lost you for a minute. Yes. Yes, I would file and have that protective order be on both sides, and as well as I would also look at the civil side too. They're on the criminal side, but we have to remember that there are civil rights and there are criminal rights. I will look at the civil side to see what civil suits can be filed in this case too on behalf of Donald Trump. So I would attack it from all angles, not just be on the ground and the playing field of the people of the government. I would also be looking at other angles like filing civil cases against um, various so-called witnesses, not in this case, but other informants, um, as well as the legalities and the constitutional rights that are being violated right now, mainly on the election. As a U.S. citizen qualified to run as president of the United States, they are actually interfering with the election, which is an entirely different area of law, not the criminal law.
Okay, let's talk a little bit of politics. Your family history is very, very interesting to me. Walk us through this, if you will, because you are the descendant of slaves.
I am. I am. My great great grandfather was a runaway slave. He was in a plantation in Missouri. He ran away, joined the Union Army as a water boy, and later became a famous horse race trainer. And my great grandfather was the first Black state assemblyman from Wisconsin, and my great aunt started the first Black bank in Wisconsin and the chapter of the NAACP in Wisconsin.
So you have a long history as both a Republican and a civil rights activist, or you come from a long line of them.
Yes, and I've been a Republican since I was 18 because I refused to join the Democrat plantation that my great great grandfather ran away from. And Republicans have always been the party of freedom, the party of choice, and the party of opportunity. The Democrats are just about oppression, holding you down and telling you what to do, and having a two-tier justice system, whether it's for Republicans or African Americans. They've always developed a two-tier justice system.
Now, I know many, many people in Nevada who know you are urging you to run for the U.S. Senate. I know you have, you told me you are very seriously leaning towards doing that. You formed a campaign committee because that's the right thing to do to preserve all of your options. There are two other individuals, Sam Brown, who ran last time, who challenged Adam Laxalt for the Senate nomination, and also Jim Marchant, who ran an unsuccessful race, I believe, for Secretary of State. Just seems to me, given the socioeconomic makeup of Nevada, that you, as the candidate, would have an opportunity to reach a lot of Democrat voters that neither one of those candidates could reach. So I'm very intrigued by this idea. Where are you in your thought process regarding a U.S. Senate race?
My thought process is that I will be announcing shortly. We have to do something. It's the same old candidates all the time, and neither one of those candidates are that you've just mentioned will beat Jackie Rosen in the general. I have already garnered support from the Black community, the West Side, the historical West Side in Las Vegas, and they're committed to helping me with my campaign and even switching parties and registering as Republicans, from Democrat to Republicans, so they can vote for me in the primary. And I've successfully been able to get 75 new registered Republican votes in the African American community in just this short time.
All right, well, if you're a Nevada Republican or a Nevada voter, I want to warn you right now, Ronda Kennedy is one determined woman. You don't want to get between her and victory or her and success. As I said earlier, she's not only a brilliant lawyer, she is a great campaigner, and she's very proud of her Republican and her civil rights heritage. We're honored to have you here on the Stone Zone, and very honored to have your breakdown of the lawfare being waged on President Donald Trump. Ronda Kennedy, thank you so much for joining us in the Stone Zone. You have an open invitation to come back here anytime when you see political and legal developments that you think you have a unique outlook on. Thank you so much and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Roger. See you soon.
All right, folks, that was Rhonda Kennedy, one of the smartest legal minds in the country. This is the part of the program where I have to pitch you because we here at the Stone Zone need to keep the lights on. And I think most people know that the 2.5-year war waged on me by Robert Mueller and his thugs meant that we lost our home, my car, our savings, most of our insurance for 2.5 years. I really couldn't travel. I couldn't write. I couldn't speak, which is really what I do for a living. We are on our way back. There is a discredited story out there regarding my 2006 taxes. I have to address it one more time. It's a pain in the neck. I have gotten no break whatsoever from this IRS. Unlike Hunter Biden, my wife and I reported every single penny of income, and we owe $2 million from our 2006 taxes. For every year from 2007 to today, we are up to date. Now, of the $2 million, 3/4 of that amount are interest and penalties because the penalties compound. And the government normally, for any other taxpayer, would negotiate with you in the offer and compromise system some reduction in interest and penalty, and you would agree to pay monthly payments. Indeed, Mrs. Stone and I made 8 years of monthly payments without missing a single payment. By the way, those payments increased over time, but a time came in which we ran out of money. That's when the Biden administration maliciously and vindictively filed a civil suit against us. Sadly, I'm a public figure. So if you go out on Twitter and say, Roger Stone evaded taxes, I can't sue you successfully because I'm a public figure. But it is a vile lie. Hunter Biden took in millions of dollars of income and he failed to declare them for taxes. That is tax evasion. There is no evidence that my wife and I did that. A press release by the government implied that we did. There is no such evidence. You see, after 10 years, a tax debt tolls out. It expires, which is why, just to be vindictive, the Biden administration filed this civil suit against my wife and I. And we ultimately, rather than going out and having to raise several $100,000 to fight it, we settled, which means I will have to pay every penny on a monthly basis for the rest of my life. In the case of Hunter Biden, some sugar brother pops in from LA and lays down the $2 million that he owes the feds for taxes. What's the guy in LA getting in return? The answer, sadly, is something. By the way, folks, go to MarcoPoloUSA.com and you can get a complete download, or you can order the printed version of Hunter Biden's entire laptop oeuvre. This is startling, shocking, evidence of 249 crimes. I believe it's 249, could be 259 crimes, including money laundering, bribery, extortion, influence peddling, illegal lobbying, and I would argue treason. There it is, MarcoPoloUSA.org. Now, the Marco Polo organization, which is being run by Garrett Ziegler, is being sued by the heavy-handed and very expensive lawyers for Hunter Biden. So when you go to MarcoPolo.com, these purveyors of truth, I strongly suggest you send them a contribution. What is their crime? Their crime is telling the truth. Nothing they have published has been questioned in terms of its accuracy, its authenticity, or its validity. There's no evidence that any of this information was gleaned illegally. Everything I know about the Hunter Biden laptop, I either learned at the New York Post or at MarcoPoloUSA.com. When lawyers file frivolous lawsuits and they waste the court's time, they usually get sanctioned. If it's bad enough, they can even get disbarred. The way the lawyers for Hunter Biden, although they're $1,800 an hour, are acting, they're cruising for one or the other or both. Check it out today, MarcoPoloUSA.org. I just pre-taped a 2-hour radio show. We just had a great interview with Ronda Kennedy, a dynamic woman lawyer from Las Vegas, Nevada, a potential candidate for U.S. Senate, but our focus today was on the Trump indictments. Now joining me is my adopted nephew, Alex Stone. I say adopted because we're not blood relatives, but I feel like we could be. He is a dynamic, young conservative and Christian who has his very own show, and he joins us now on the Stone Zone. Alex, welcome to the Zone.
Roger, thank you so much for having me. It's always an honor to be on your show. Being on the Stone Zone, I just tweeted out Roger Stone did nothing wrong, because you did not do anything wrong. The way that the deep state continues to attack you and your wife is heinous, and it is evil, and we need to fight back against it. Thank you so much for having me on this show today.
Well, we call this a segment the Rolling Stones. That's Alex and Roger. We are the Rolling Stones. And I wanted to get your thoughts on specifically the uproar over this movie, Sound of Freedom. Now, it looks to me like Disney had the rights to this movie. Then they were going to essentially what they call catch and kill, never release it. Now that it has been released, it's a smash hit. It is breaking records. It's leaving Indiana Jones in the dust. But certain media organizations like Rolling Stone and others seem to be trying to tell us that this is all some giant QAnon conspiracy, that there is no child sex trafficking, that this doesn't even exist as a problem, that it is a figment of our imagination. Break this down for us and talk a while. I'm going to try to find the exact citation that I'm looking for.
Right. Well, thank you so much once again. I will say this, there is a terrible thunderstorm in my area. So if my power goes out and I leave automatically, that would be unfortunate. So I just wanted to let you know ahead of time. But yes, as you were talking about, the Rolling Stone did do a hit piece on the movie Sound of Freedom. I have yet to see it. I've been so busy, tied around with work and with being a youth pastor. But they did do a terrible review on the movie, and they write, Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. They call it QAnon tinged thriller about child trafficking, and they say it's designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. Now they say that, however, this is based on a very, very true story. As I was talking to you about this before, I asked you about if you had talked about it yet this week, and you hadn't. But I think more people need to start talking about this, especially with the fact that there are many people who are talking against it. The way that the Rolling Stone and many others, as you just stated, the way that they talk about this movie, it seems as if they are not only pedophile sympathizers, but some of them might be pedophiles themselves. I'm on Twitter all the time, and I was scrolling through Twitter today, and I saw our good friend Ann Vandersteel tweet out a video from someone, I don't remember his name, but he's from Colorado Ped Patrol. Basically, he lives in Colorado, and he basically catfishes pedophiles, right? So she tweets this video out, and what is going on is sickening. There are many pedophiles who are running rampant in our country, in the United States of America today, and this man, he's doing something against it. But it seems as if Rolling Stone and many others are against getting rid of pedophiles. They're against trying to fight back against it, and it's really, truly sad to see.
Yeah, so you have the Washington Post, Rolling Stone, Media Matters for America, those people are total freaks.
Right.
Jezebel, The Guardian, these are purveyors of lies. Those are not media organizations, folks. They may have one time been that, but they are not today. But what they're saying is even more extreme. Child sex trafficking is a myth. It's a fantasy, they're telling us. It doesn't even exist any place. It's a fever dream of the far right. I don't know any law enforcement official anywhere in the country who agrees with that. And as you point out, the story put together by Jim Caviezel, who starred in The Passion of the Christ and other movies, is based on the real life story of a federal agent named Tim Ballard. So they're just in denial. Do they think that this is back in the old days when they controlled all social media and therefore they could promulgate a lie like the Russian collusion hoax and nobody would see through it?
I'd say they might be in denial. However, something that I've been talking about a long time on my show since about 2020 is the idea that MAP will be added to the LGBTQ agenda. MAP is minor attracted person. It seems as if there is more and more a defense for MAPs from people such as the Rolling Stone than there should be. There should be none. However, what I think is they don't really care about this heinous thing. It does exist. I am friends with an FBI agent, one of the few good ones, and one of the things that he does primarily is stings against pedophiles, right? And so it does exist. I've talked with him many times about these things. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. Just about 40 minutes away from my house is an amusement park called Worlds of Fun. And Worlds of Fun is a very big hub for child sex trafficking. It's very sad, it's very wicked, and it's very evil. And anyone who is attacking this movie for its QAnon thing and the fever dream that the right has, anyone who's attacking it for that, they might be a pedophile themselves.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in QAnon. Never have believed it. I think there's a lot of good people who do believe it. I think they're misguided. This is one of those situations where sometimes there are shards of truth, small elements of truth. People do want hope, so sometimes they're buying what we call hopium. But for people to deny that child sex trafficking or pedophilia exists, that really seems that seems like mental illness. I mean, I don't think anyone would agree with that. And then we learned that the Biden immigration services, the Homeland Security, they're going to stop looking for or questioning people regarding these criminal activities on our southern border. It's almost like they want to encourage this, that they want to normalize it. As you pointed out to me, the people at Rolling Stone, not the exact same author, but the publication that tries to vilify anyone who asks questions about child sex trafficking, they gave a rave review to the movie Cuties, which essentially sought to normalize, the sexual gratification of children.
Right, they did do that. They write Cuties Review, a coming of age movie caught in the culture wars, and they continue and write, thanks to major marketing mistake, this award-winning French movie has been accused of sexualizing girls. The accusation comes because they do sexualize girls. Then it continues to say it's actually a sensitive portrait of growing pains that deserve to be seen. Now, this is a sexualized film, right? Where there are 11-year-old girls who are being sexualized, and the Rolling Stone is raving about this, and they're excited about this movie that came out a few years ago on Netflix, but they're bashing and they are hating on the new movie Sound of Freedom. It's sad, right? You just described it very clearly. It's mental illness, right? We see mental illness all over the place, and this is one of those things that we see. It's the mental illness that someone can be okay with pedophilia, that someone can be okay with minor attracted persons. It's wicked and heinous and disgusting.
Yeah, it really is. Last weekend, I was in Las Vegas. I had an opportunity to meet Mel Gibson. It was one of the great thrills of my life. Two of his movies are among my favorite movies of all time, The Patriot and Braveheart. I haven't seen them recently enough. It's time to go back and watch them again. Turns out they are also favorites of President Trump. I suggested, first of all, I asked him what his involvement was with Sound of Freedom. He has, by his own admission, he's peripherally involved, but he had a hand in it. He is very close friends with Jim Caviezel, and of course, he is a major critic of Hollyweird and the activities of the Hollywood community, which I think glorify Satan, glorify sin, glorify crime, glorify the sexualization of minors. We had a brief discussion about adrenochrome. Yes, I think that adrenochrome is real. I've talked to a doctor who tells me this is a very real thing. This is not some QAnon conspiracy. Not sure how many people who work at Rolling Stone are drinking adrenochrome, but I suspect the number's relatively high, don't you?
I would agree with you on that. I'm 19 years old. Just recently, I was a minor, right? And it's disgusting to me thinking about how I was a minor a few years ago, and this thing could have happened to me. It's disgusting to think about the fact that my 3 younger siblings, this thing could happen to them as well. And these people from Rolling Stone and all of these magazines, they seem to be perfectly fine with it. And what is even more disturbing is that the Joe Biden administration seems to be fine with it. Under President Trump, he fought hard. He fought tooth and nail against child sex trafficking, against sex trafficking in general. Yet we have a Biden administration that does not care and that they are doing nothing about it. And it's time that we stand up and stand in the gap and speak out against it more and more. Sound of Freedom is doing that. And President Trump, when he becomes president again, he will continue to fight against these evil, heinous acts of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I was very pleased to see that the president has arranged for a private showing for the members at Bedminster, his club in New Jersey, next Wednesday night. Jim Caviezel will be there. Tim Ballard, the federal agent whose real life story the movie is based on, will be there. He has been, I think, very interested in the movie and certainly has a strong record in the area. I was very pleased to see that. I'm going to ask you to stay right there for a second, Alex. Mrs. Stone just reminded me that I have to remind our listeners that we are brought to you by the great folks at MyPillow.com. So if you don't buy anything at MyPillow, it's a little hard to fill the gas tank or put groceries on the dinner table. Is it that tight? Yeah, sometimes it is. And therefore, I ask you to go to MyPillow. And when you do, use promo code STONE. Promo code STONE. Let's go through some of the really great products there. First and foremost, and most exciting, the revolutionary new MyPillow 2.0. Now, you could be sitting there saying, look, I have all the MyPillows I could possibly stand. I don't need any new pillows. Wrong. You need the MyPillow 2.0. That's because this pillow has a patented built-in technology so that the pillow is always cool to the touch. That means that throughout the night, you don't have to keep flipping the pillow over to get the cool side. Mike Lindell likes to say that a proper night's sleep, a good night's sleep, is about height and temperature. And this is an amazing new product. I can tell you right now, once you get your MyPillow 2.0, you're going to throw your old MyPillows out. Or maybe you're going to go donate them at Goodwill or the Salvation Army because these are amazing. And right now, when you use promo code STONE, you get one pillow for $89.98. and a second pillow is sent absolutely free. I'm also a giant aficionado of the dog beds. My dogs, Mimi and Pee Wee, who are Yorkshire Terriers from the same litter, brother and sister, they love their My Pillow dog bed. They share the small bed, but it comes in small, medium, and large, beginning at 19.99, and goes all the way to 39.98. Again, when you have used promo code STONE, you get a deep discount. If you're going to go for the dog beds, then you should go for the pet blankets. The pet blankets are great. At night, Mrs. Stone and I turn the air conditioning down. We like to sleep in the cool. As Mike Lindell has said, a good night's sleep is about height and temperature, but we want our babies to be warm and comfortable. That's why we use the pet blankets. These are suitable for cats or dogs, as are the dog beds, I might add. And right now, the pet blankets are as low as $19.99, go all the way to $27.99. Protect your furniture, protect your babies. Check out the pet blankets. Again, please use promo code STONE. Then there are the 6-piece bath towel sets. Once again, this is something I learned from Mike Lindell himself. The cotton that is used in the conventional bath towels that you can buy online elsewhere or buy in a department store is treated with some kind of oil which makes the cotton more durable, makes it hold the dye longer for the color, but makes it much, much, much less absorbent. Isn't the purpose of a bath or shower towel to dry you off? So right now, a clearance price, you get the 6-piece My Pillow towel set for a low $25. This was once twice that price. You're going to want to grab these now. Now, generally speaking, all of Mike Lindell's products have a 30-day money back guarantee, except for the clearance products. I look for the clearance products because I want to bring you some of the best bargains that are available. So whether it is the dog beds, the pet blankets, the My Pillow men and women's moccasin slippers, the My Pillow throw blankets, the My Pillow waffle blankets, the men and women's bathrobes. Let's show those. This is a favorite of mine. These are on special. These were once, I believe, $150. They're now a low $59.98. This is a very luxurious terry cloth with a broad shawl collar. They're incredibly durable. They're incredibly comfortable. Mine is slate gray. I've washed it multiple times. Still looks like it's brand new. Now a special price with promo code STONE, a low $59.98. Again, the mattress toppers, the Giza Dream Sheets, the Percal sheets. You can never have too much from My Pillow. Go on the website. There's all kinds of great products. I know a lot of people think it's just about pillows or just about bedding. It's much, much broader than that. We need your support to keep the lights on. We need your support to pay the bills. We need your support for gasoline and groceries. And you can help us and get a great product and help Mike Lindell, a great patriot, by going to mypillow.com now and once again using promo code STONE. Promo code STONE. All right, let's go back to my nephew, Alex Stone. We together, Roger and Alex Stone, we are the Rolling Stones, at least the ones you want to see right now. Alex, what else do you see out there you want to talk about?
No, I just want to comment on mypillow.com. I'm wearing my slippers right now, and I have 3 pairs of these. So these are truly amazing. So use promo code STONE and help Roger out. My President Trump bobblehead certainly agrees with the idea that you should go to mypillow.com and use promo code STONE to help Roger out. Today, I've been paying attention all day to Blaze Media Network and the summit that they have going on today with many presidential candidates. Back a couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity to interview General Flynn, and we talked about his disdain for Mike Pence. And there is much to disdain about Mike Pence for many reasons. And one of those reasons was shown today. Tucker Carlson, a man who is great at media, probably the most famous man in media today, he asked Vice President Mike Pence, he says, every city in America has become worse over the past few years. Your concern is that Ukraine doesn't have enough tanks. Where's the concern for America in that? And then Mike Pence continued and said, that's not my concern. It sounds as if Mike Pence doesn't really care about America. It sounds as if his allegiance or what he's going after is trying to help Ukraine out in this war that shouldn't be happening in the first place. If President Trump was in office, this wouldn't be happening. But Mike Pence has the idea that he's just going to keep supporting Ukraine during all of it, and it's annoying, and it's actually kind of funny to think about. To think about the fact that he's going to get anywhere near the White House again is hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's very particularly interesting in the Republican Party. In other words, we traditionally are great believers in hegemony. We believe in waiting your turn. So, for example, I think the right year for Senator Bob Dole to be the Republican nominee was probably 1988. He won the Iowa caucuses, but then he was defeated in the New Hampshire primary. And after that, George Bush ran the table, and he was the nominee, and he was elected president. By 1996, 1992, Bob Dole was, kind of past his prime. But because he was the first runner-up and because he'd been a loyal soldier for the party, he became the nominee. And he was defeated in 1996, he was defeated by Bill Clinton. Clinton had beat George Bush as an incumbent. Never any excuse for an incumbent to not be reelected. Now, I want to be very clear. Bob Dole was one of the greatest men of the 20th century. I worked for 2 years as a staff assistant on Capitol Hill for Senator Bob Dole, and he would have been a great president, but unfortunately, he lost the nomination in 1988. By the time we nominated him, sadly, the moment had passed. This was also true of John McCain. Not that he was a great man, he wasn't, but he was preferable to George W. Bush, at least at the time he was. He lost the nomination to George Bush in 2000. By the time we nominated him in 2012, it had passed him by. But we believe as Republicans in the logical order of things. So normally, within the context of the Republican Party, Mike Pence should be in good shape. He served 4 years under the most popular Republican president in my lifetime, President Donald Trump. Yet that one act pertaining to the certification of electors, I'm not a lawyer, but I've read the argument regarding the role of state legislatures in the certification of the election of the electors. Seems to me to be a reasonable, maybe not a definite, but a reasonable legal argument, but one that he rejected. He is running in single digits. Chris Christie, who's an abysmal disgrace, perhaps to the human race, is actually down there with Mike Pence. I'm not sure what Mike Pence thinks he's doing. Today, at the same forum, he was defending the electric voting machines, which I believe are corrupt. It's almost like he's going out of his way to make sure that he doesn't win any support. That's how I read it. How do you read it?
I read it as he has just committed political suicide, especially today. There's obviously no chance that he's going to get anywhere near the White House. There was no chance that he was going to get anywhere near the White House before today. But I think what needs to happen is every person who is running against President Trump needs to yield back, to stand back, because President Trump deserves this. President Trump is a man who fought tirelessly through attack after deep state nonsense after deep state nonsense for 4 years during his presidency and the 2 years previous to his presidency and up until now as well. He deserves this, and he has proven that because he fights for America. He fought for America tirelessly, time and time again, despite the attacks. I think that anyone who is on the presidential debate stage needs to stay away, to back out and say, maybe in 2028, I can try this. One of the people that we know and not love is Ron DeSantis. Just a few weeks ago, President Trump pulled up to a Dairy Queen and they had to shut down the establishment because he showed up. Well, just a little bit ago, Ron DeSantis showed up to a Dairy Queen and they just kept serving ice cream. They didn't even care that he was there. Ron DeSantis needs to back away. I watched the video that you put out recently when you walked up to President Trump and said, Ron DeSantis is an a-hole. Well, he is. He's also uniparty. He doesn't care for America. He's not in it for America. He's in it for himself and for his own political future. People need to back away and stand away from President Trump because he is the only proven fighter in this race, Roger.
I agree with that analysis. A shocking story that we brought you yesterday on the Stone Zone. Laura Loomer determined that Governor Ron DeSantis paid a $1 million bribe to the Florida Speaker of the House in order to get him to amend the state law to change the law to allow Ron DeSantis to remain as governor while he was running for president. I hope the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Florida will examine that, because that is an obvious quid pro quo that is a crime. All right, we are out of time. I want to thank my nephew, Alex Stone, for joining us here for this segment we call the Rolling Stones. This has been a long, tough week. We're looking forward to a restful weekend. I'm going to be speaking at the Turning Point USA event in West Palm Beach. I hope you can make it there. When Ron DeSantis heard that I was going to be there, he canceled his appearance. And when you hear my speech on Sunday, you will know why. Until then, God bless you and Godspeed. Alex, thank you. And thank you to all those out there in the Stone Zone for joining us.
Roger, thank you so much for having me. I just want to say, buy Stone's Rules. It's a great book. Buy it right now.
You can go to stonezone.com to do that. Stonezone.com. In the store, get your signed copy of Stone's Rules with an introduction by my good friend Tucker Carlson. God bless you and Godspeed.
You're watching Lindell TV.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear, dog beds.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.